Welcome to the last sessions in these tutorials. And so in this tutorial, we're going to cover the best practice especially for security concern. Because we know last sessions we talking about minting these NFTs, but however, the private key actually was inside of this app itself. It's unsecure. If your app was being hacked, so maybe your private key going to be leaked, because you don't want to deliver a private key to everyone, because everyone's private key is going to be the same. You're going to have an issue on that. So the best way is so in these sessions we're gonna step by step to achieve the best way to make your app secure. And so, back into our project. As we remember, so last time when we creating functions inside the flow managers in here, we have these private keys, right? We have this private key, we have this address, which is not the ideal. So, how we can change that? So the first way we can thinking about that is maybe we can remove that into a backend, a server. And so every time when we want to get the signature, basically we're making an API request to our server, and in our server we're gonna sign that and then return the signature, right? That sounds good. That sounds not bad, or we can try it out. So basically what we're gonna do in here, we're gonna have our backend. So in our master makers, if you see in our original project, we have like the server in there. In the server, we are using next.js. So basically under the pages APIs, that's gonna be our API is. We right now creating a function called mint. So that mint API is actually similar to what we have before. It's gonna take in the address and the component, and basically instead of let the client side using the private key to sign that, our backend actually will doing that. It's the same transaction we are signing. So to achieve this, what we are doing is we are creating a backend, reading these transactions, and then put that as argument, and then we are using this private key to sign this message, and then sending that to the chain. And that's how that's the whole flow looks like. At least right now we are not leaking the private keys actually to the user side. And so in our end, basically we just make API calls. That API calls was the minting request and give you the address and also the NFT data that we're gonna want to mint. And here we return in the response, and that response basically will give you the transaction ID. Okay, that's the one that we are using right now. And let's just try it. Clean the console, and let's click on mint. Okay, so when the mint actually we can get a transaction IDs, and what we can do is we can go to the flow scan, and you can paste that as URLs. We can try that, and yeah, so that one actually works. It's been minted. We can try in our the views. There were like 2 NFTs actually was been minted. Can change that to a new one. Can minting another one. But however, when you look at this, it's have like several issues. So the first issues is what happened if someone not calling our using our apps actually to make this call. This can be a postman, right? He can call this API more than like 100 times. What happened is like we're gonna give in there like 10 NFTs for that. So first of all, this API, there was no kind of authentication endpoint in there, and also it have number of issues. Because if there were like many APIs requests was handling at the same time, basically we will have issue on that. Why was that? Because the sequence number will be collisions, and because we only using one keys in here. So, and also right now we are airdropping this to the user, and there is no any sort of money that we can let the user to buy it, and there are a number of issues of that. So we have to resolve this. First of all, we want to be more secure, and the second thing, more secure, and then the second achieve is we want the user actually can pay for this NFT in the future. Because right now we can put that a zero flow for this NFT, but in the future we might gonna charge user for that. And also we want to avoid this kind of sequence number collision issues. If you are sending two NFT at the same time, there is like same request at the same time, the second request might probably gonna fail. And also the third part, there is no sort of like whitelisting in here. Like if the user get the request, then basically we are just signing it, and there is no any ways that we can determine on that. So how to fix this? And to fix this, actually we bring out another cadence. Instead of minting that by the minter itself, actually we adding two parties for these transactions. So one party is gonna be the minter, and then the next one gonna be the users itself. So both of two sides sign this transaction, and then we make that work. So the minters is gonna be API call, and then the receiver actually will be the wallet. The wallet will be fetching that from the wallet app for the signature, and then we combine these two things together, and we're sending this transaction on chain, and that's gonna be more secure because first of all, it's not only based on an API request. You have to get the user signature first, and second thing is the user gonna be the proposer, and then we can avoid for the sequence number collision issues. And okay, so that's the big changing from our client side, especially in our cadence. And how do we do that? In using the mobile SDK. So using mobile SDK, I'm gonna give you the example code in our maker page. Was this one? Okay, so here is the example pages, actually how we achieve that. So we changing the cadence code, and also we are passing the argument based on the cadence requirement, and right now we are putting the value at 0, and the tricky and the really critical part is this part, authorizers. So by default, if you using mutate, the user will be the proposer. And for the authorizers, we have the minter helpers and also the users for that. So make sure that is the one-to-one. When you in the cadence code, as you can see, the minter is gonna be the first one, and then the user gonna be the next one. So when you're passing that through, make sure the minter is gonna be the first one, and the user gonna be the second one. The user right now we are passing as a current user, so it's gonna fetching the current user address for that. And for the minter part, let's take a look into that. The minter part actually is about confirming two protocol. So one protocol will be the FCL signers, and that's the most important one. If that's the FCL signers, basically we will using this one actually to fetching the address from the API. And from the minter helpers in here, we are making the API calls and then sending the request to get signature. So in our backend, basically we are doing some security checking to make sure the cadence is exactly matching with what we have in the client side. If one character changing the transaction, we're gonna reject that. And also we are make sure the network right now we are in the test net. Cool, let's try that. So what we're gonna do in our side is gonna be we're gonna change in one line of code in our maker view model pages instead of Mint. We're gonna using by. So using this by, we're gonna using these mutate functions. Okay. Cool. Let me rerun the app. And yeah, so once we have everything in our backends, when we have those security check, and then what we're gonna do is we're changing only one line of the code to change that to by. So this one actually we're fetching the server signature first, and also gonna fetching users. So let's see what's gonna happen. So here I just gonna be changing some of the monsters code. This looks good, and then when we click on Mint, and that's going to be navigate me to the wallet to fetching user signature, and here's the transaction we are signing. Once we click on confirm, and the top corners, we type on that, that's going to be the transaction we are getting. And loading, waiting for a bit. Yeah, that's gonna be success. As you can see right now, we have like 2 authorizers and 1 payers, 1 proposers, and user actually was a proposer. And yeah, so basically that's it. So in here we can see that's the monster we just created. And let's try one thing. If what happened if we are just changing one line of the code in here. So let's say if I change this character with 2, or we adding one more space, and let's try to run this app. And if we click on Mint, it's well filled, right? Because as you can see, we are getting the 403, the malicious transaction errors, because the hashing was not mismatching with what we have in the records. So that's the way how we make that secure, and also it's kind of like advanced features that have like custom authorizers in here. All right, I think that's what I want to cover. And also there was another I want to talk about is this image. So we all know right now in this we haven't uploaded our NFT into the IPFS because in our ones we are okay that to creating the same NFT again and again, seems is the same NFTs. So what we do is similar to what we have in the Swift UI. Basically, we are creating a number of image, and then we overlap them together, and then use the canvas to draw that image. And how that's gonna looks like. Give you examples. So if we are using the monsters image, and that's the default index we have. If you're changing that to, let's say 8, that's going to be the background, and if we change that to 7, that's going to be the hand going to change. Yeah, so basically we're using also using this backend actually to dynamically to drawing these NFTs. But ideal way, you need to uploading all this NFT into the IPFS, and then you will have the ID one mapping with that, and then you should fetching the image from the IPFS. But here we just using some like more simple way to doing so. And but yeah, the best practice still should be uploading to the IPFS. And yeah, so here is just the general ideas that how we handle that in our side. And make sure once you do your own NFTs, you follow the NFT catalog. And Flare, we have NFT catalog implementations. Yeah, so once you do that, please register in here, and then it's gonna be much more easier for the ecosystem to see your project. All right, I think that's all I want to say for today. I hope you enjoying the tutorials, and yeah, just let me know if you have any issues. And I'm happy to help, and I'm so can't wait if anyone can build any like mobile apps on Flow blockchains. That's gonna be amazing. All right, see you guys around. Bye.